Hi folks, Greg Wright here with Build Your Own Home Right. So today is video number 4 in our series, and it's going to be about how you develop your plans and how you set that house on the lot that you're building on. So if you like what we're talking about, if this is all good information for you, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. So the orientation of your house in regards to the sun is very important. The southern exposure and the western exposure, you're going to get way more sun on the rear of your house. In exposure, I mean towards the rear of your house, where your patio would be or your deck would be, where you're going to spend your time outside. You want to make sure that you can use that space, and if you're having the sun setting and shining on your west-facing backyard, it's going to be so hot you're not going to be able to sit out there and enjoy your rear yard unless you have some shade trees or something like that that's in place on your lot. So it's way better to go ahead and try to do a east-facing backyard, so in the afternoon that's all in the shade on your patio, and then you don't have to worry so much about having all that area covered unless you want to. Southern exposure, I would recommend trying to get some of that rear patio covered as well, because that will also get quite a bit of sun. But if you have it covered, you can generally work around that. And north facing is kind of like east facing. You're not going to get a lot of sun on your rear patio area where you're going to spend your afternoons or evenings. So anyway, something to think about. The other thing would be if your lot is sloping, whether or not you want your garage on the uphill side or the downhill side. So bear in mind, I'm a huge fan of having your garage on the same level as your main floor plan. When you pull into your garage and you got a trunk full of groceries, you don't want to go up and down stairs 5 times to unload your car. At least I don't. So anyway, a lot of people do put the garage down because you can go ahead and use that section of the foundation, etc., build your garage, and part of that would be your upper level would be covered in the framing and whatnot of the garage, and it's good use of that space. But you also could use that as a downstairs game area, another bedroom or two. Foundation's going to be there regardless, so whether you want to pour a slab in there and frame a few interior walls and a set of stairs, you can increase the square footage of your house fairly inexpensively if you do that. So those are the 2 things that I would really look at when I'm getting ready to set up my house on a set of plans. The cover sheet or the plot map on a set of plans is going to be how that's oriented to north, south, east, and west. And your designer or your draft person will help you get all through that. So the other things we're going to talk about are more just things to look for in a set of plans. I highly recommend that when you get your plans, what you consider done, you print out a couple copies for yourself. Most of the building departments now receive their plans electronically, and then they'll go ahead and approve them, and then they'll send you back a download, and then you can go get the approved set printed, and that'll be your job site copy for the inspector. He's going to want to see a set that has all the proper stamps on it from the different departments, building department, everybody involved with planning department, anybody that's involved with approving those plans. So you will need a set of that you need to keep clean. Don't keep it on the job site. Just take it over there when you know you got an inspection coming. But your working set, as I call them, those are the sets that you need to spend some time with before you even start the build. You need to make sure that your foundation dimensions line up with your floor plan dimensions. Most of the CAD systems that the drafts people use in today's world, they're layered. So they can do the foundation and then a floor plan and all that matches that. But sometimes there's dimensions that are off in there. Changes were made that didn't get put on the bottom layer, etc. So you need to spend some time and really go over the foundation plan and your floor plan dimensions to make sure they all match. And then the second thing would be to go through each room and make sure that everything's where you want it. I'm a huge fan of making sure that the windows are centered in rooms, if at all possible, that if you do any tray ceilings, that they are centered on the windows, so that when you walk into a room and you look, you don't see things that are off. I have a really good eye, that sort of thing. It draws my attention to it, and it kind of bugs me when things aren't centered or lined up properly. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a few things on a set of plans that I of a house that I built, and I'll show you what's wrong with those plans, and then I'll show you what I did to fix them before I actually gave a set to the framer. Or if you're framing it for yourself, you still want to make notes on the plan so you don't forget what you saw, and so that you're not doing it twice. It's expensive, especially if you're hiring somebody to do the framing. If you come in and find something's wrong, you don't want to have to pay them to come back and redo it to get things in the right place. And if the plans are set up and it shows a dimension and they build it to the dimension, that's not their fault. That's your fault for not going over and making sure the plans are correct. So I don't send it back to the draftsperson to make those corrections, because it's usually a 2-week lead time. And if I'm getting ready to start and the plans aren't perfect, I go ahead and just use a red pen and I make all the changes on the plans myself. Now, if you don't feel comfortable with that, then you make a list of things, you go back to your draftsperson and you let them do it. But either way, let's go take a look at some things that I can show you that'll make your framing easier. So here we are with a set of plans that I've built this home several times. And even though I've done over 50 houses with this draftsperson, there's still errors that show up on the plan. So no matter how many times I build the house, I go over the set of plans myself. So here's the entryway right here, and you can see that the tray ceiling is 10 feet and the regular ceilings are 9 feet. So this all looks good. The dimensions, it's centered on the entry, etc. But when you move up here, you'll see that the windows are not centered on this wall on the back of the great room. The tray ceiling looks good. So in this case, I just adjusted the window locations. So I changed these dimensions, lined the windows up what I wanted, and made notes on that before I gave that to the framer. So that's one thing that I saw. The other things that you want to look for is your refrigerators. We build a cabinet that goes up above the refrigerator, has a pair of doors on it. In the last few years, they've made refrigerators deeper. They're not, they make them bigger on the square footage of the refrigerator, but instead of making them taller and wider, they're making them deeper. So in the old days, you used to make that cabinet 27 inches deep. Well, if you do that, you're gonna have 3 or 4 inches of that refrigerator sticking out in front. So I go ahead and make that cabinet 30 inches deep. Now here, it doesn't show the cabinetry on this plan, but my cabinet guy and I, we go over that, and that's how we do it. The other thing is you wanna make sure this little wall right here is at least 27 inches deep on the inside. But your cabinets are 24, and then your overhang of your granite is usually 1.5 inches, so that's 25.5. And then I like to give it a little extra room there so that your granite isn't sticking out past the end of that wall. So you want to make that wall 27 inches minimum, okay? The other things that I see is this is a great deal for the door right here. I like to see 4.5 inches, which is 3 studs between the door opening and the wall. If your trim is a 3 1/4, 3.5 inch trim, you need that space so that the door guy, or you, and if you're hanging your own doors, make sure that door is centered in the hallway, and that gives them room for your 3 1/4 inch trim or so, 3.5 inch trim, whatever you're using, so that it doesn't butt up against the wall and it looks good and clean. This situation right here is not that way. This door is too close to this wall and too close to this wall. But this is a walk-in shower with a glass door that we don't do. We take that door out and we just make that shower so that you can literally walk in. The shower head would be over here, so you don't need that door on there. The water is going to be over this way. So there's no big deal with moving this wall over a couple inches to go ahead and give you a little more room here at this door so that you have room to do your trim on the inside and the outside. And when you do that, you want to make sure you center this window above the toilet, center that in this space in the room, and make sure the plumber centers the toilet as well. So that's another thing that I would see. I always like to see a vented window over the tub and a vented window in the shower so that you can let any moisture and steam and whatnot get out of that room. So another thing to be aware of is the situation right here. If you don't know what your washer and dryer dimensions are, you need to kind of take a look at that with the manufacturer, and you want the edge of that door at least 32 inches from this wall to here so that your door does not hit any of your appliances. And in this case, we just shrink this to a 12-inch shelf instead of a 16-inch shelf to give room to slide that door over so we have our room. And if a door is in a wall like this and it's too close to the wall, like right here, it's actually good. I know that's at least 4.5 inches. And you got plenty of room of clearance between your counter here. This door here is 4.5 inches. I can see that. So those are the things you want to look for. Well, I hope that helps you, gives you some ideas, gives you some things to look at when you look at a set of plans to get ready to give to your framer or before you get ready to frame. So if that was a help to you and you enjoyed what you saw today, please hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you next time on video number 5, where we talk about getting ready to go ahead and submit those plans to the municipality for your build. So we'll see you on the next one. Bye.